Good evening, all. Thank you very, very much for coming out tonight to learn more about the work of a committee that's been working for a year with Augusta's charter. And we have prepared a video of sorts that will explain different parts of the charter. If you have paper and you want to write questions down, we certainly are here because we want to answer your questions. It describes the process, it describes the biggest change we're making, it describes the audits we are requiring, and it describes the ethics under which we hope our government will be able to abide by. So before I start, I'd kind of like to introduce our committee. We have a number of our members are here this evening, and people are still coming in. So first off, it'd be our Vice Chairman, Clint Bryant. All right, we got Sheffy Robinson, newly minted Dr. Sheffy Robinson. Mr. Frank Lewis, right here. Mr. Steve Fouché. Mr. Rod Pearson. Mr. Lee Powell. Mr. Robert France. We've got Mr. Eric Gaines. Mr. Augustus Palmer. And then Angela's in the back, but this is Mrs. Angela Backos in the back. And who am I missing? I'm looking through the crowd here. I think we have 100% of the committee is here. And because of various commitments, several of them may have to step out. But this is about a 30-minute video that will go through the biggest changes this article will, our recommendations. Say that again? I'm Marcy Wilhelmy. How do you do? Have the dubious honor of working with this committee, but love every last one of them, even though we all drive each other cray-cray on occasion. It's been a great group to work with for sure. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Jeff Lewis, who we owe our eternal indebtedness to for making this happen on such a short leash, for sure. Jeff's going to go ahead and run this, and then we'll come back and field questions. Thank you. Hello, and thank you for your interest in the work of the Charter Review Committee and our recommendations. We hope to answer many of the questions that people have about the changes and the reasons behind the major decisions our committee is recommending. Each member of the Charter Review Committee was appointed by their respective commissioners and the mayor. The 11 members of the committee have been meeting regularly every other week since April of 2025. The committee's charge was to study the Augusta Charter and to provide a comprehensive review and propose changes and updates to that charter. To accomplish this task, the committee has carefully reviewed the charters of other governments in the Southeast and consolidated governments as well from across the United States. In this review, the committee focused on how other governments are organized and structured and how that affects efficiency, accountability, and transparency. The committee has also carefully worked through the existing 1996 charter. In doing so, we have stripped out those items that were redundant, duplicative of federal and state law, and since those laws supersede any local charter. Additionally, we have removed items from the charter which are more appropriately dealt with by local ordinance. Throughout this process, we've been assisted by the University of Georgia Carl Vinson Institute of Government. Their team of experts have provided us with extensive background research, guidance, and alternative practices, and assisted us with the formal drafting of the charter language. One of the critical efforts we have made is to engage with the public. The committee formally held town halls, and individual members of the committee also sponsored listening sessions to expand the input of the committee. The charter is a bit difficult to understand. It is best described as the foundation upon which our local government is structured. The charter provides the governing framework, much like the foundation and the walls would be in a house. It provides the broad structure. And so a house is not complete with only a foundation and walls. You need many other elements. These other elements are necessary but can have much more flexibility. An example would be you may want to change the color of a room, and you go ahead and you task the painters to paint it. For a government, you may also want a mechanism to make changes when it is needed. And so this happens throughout ordinances, local ordinances. Ordinances are the regular laws that the Augusta Commission uses and approves to guide the operations of the city of Augusta. In our painting example, for instance, the commission might decide to change the color from blue to green. And so they will then task the employees of the city to do the metaphorical painting to achieve these changes. They don't affect the core principles. And so flexibility needs to be built in via ordinances to be more nimble and responsive. Charters are a much more difficult instrument to alter. So those issues covered by ordinance are more likely to need readdressing from time to time. Essentially, a charter defines the framework for accomplishing our objectives of responsive, efficient, and prudently managed government for all Augustans, present and future. I am personally grateful to each and every one of our charter committee members because they have worked hard, they've attended meetings, they have read through charters of successful cities trying to glean pieces that would assist Augusta going forward, and participated thoughtfully in hard discussions about how we can create a government that will be able to serve our community for many years to come. Our current structure is described as Mayor, Commissioner, Administrator system. In this structure, the mayor and the commission direct an administrator to oversee the day-to-day operations of the government, but the administrator is hampered, not fully empowered to make some core decisions about the budget or the ability. They do not currently have the ability to hire and fire department heads. With our mandate to review the charter and make recommendations, figuring out the core structure was indeed one of our most important tasks. The committee has recommended adopting a different form of government for Augusta, a manager form of government. It's not simply a word change from administrator to manager. It is a very big change with big responsibilities. We will still have a mayor and a commission, but a professionally managed manager will be given greater responsibility for the day-to-day operations of Augusta. The manager will lead and propose future actions and forecasting to guide these operations. The mayor and commission will then provide policy guidance, and the manager and the employees of the consolidated government will carry those policies out. The manager, much like a CEO, will be the focal point. The commission, like a board of directors, will give guidance to the manager, and the manager will pass those requests to the appropriate departments and determine the priority of those issues. Our vice chairman, Coach Clint Bryant, will be detailing additional information about this form of government change in another video clip. Two additional critical areas of our decision making were around internal audits and enhancing the ethics for Augusta, tightening and strengthening ethics for Augusta. These topics will be detailed by committee members Lee Powell and Sheffy Robinson in additional film clips. We believe our work has provided Augusta with a sound structure that will allow our government to function well. However, we recognize that all organizations from time to time should review and take some time for reflection. Because of that, our committee has strongly urged the convening of a charter review committee in 7 years and every 7 years thereafter to tweak this product. And while the committee has reviewed and approved language for the charter, the committee is not the final choice in the process. Ultimately, the voters will have the final choice. That means all of you watching this, your neighbors, your friends, your relatives. There is a process that will occur before a charter can be voted on. First, our committee will finalize a formal charter document. And then it will be presented to the Augusta Commission, our local legislative delegation, the governor, and several other public officials. Additionally, the committee will have a report that summarizes the work of the committee. In a related process, the Georgia General Assembly will ultimately need to approve a charter before it goes to the voters. In that process, the charter will need to be approved by the House and the Senate and signed by the governor. When that happens, the election will be scheduled so that Augustans can vote on your charter. We want to thank you for your interest, and for taking the time to critically watch these educational videotapes. We encourage you to reflect, as we have, on why we made the decision to recommend a new form of government, and with new institutions such as stronger ethics and the internal auditor function. In the end, we believe this new charter will serve us more effective government with improved efficiency, accountability, and transparency for all.
Hello, my name is Clint Bryant. I'm the Vice Chair of the Augusta Charter Review Committee. I'm grateful for the opportunity to discuss in what I believe is the most important decision made during our review of the Augusta Charter. This is the form of government, the structure that governs how Augusta is organized, operates, and who has what responsibility in serving our community. As we reviewed our current charter, it was clear that there were a number of issues that needed to be addressed. For example, our existing charter includes many passages which are duplicative of state law and therefore unnecessary. Additionally, there were other topics that were included in the charter which are best addressed in ordinances. However, the most critical issue was around the lines of authority for leading the governing Augusta. This is why we have selected the manager form of government to clarify those lines of authority and responsibility. In furtherance of addressing this critical issue, the Charter Review Committee unanimously recommended transitioning to a commissioner-manager form of government, making the mayor and commission responsible for policymaking, while a professionally qualified manager with a master's degree oversees daily operation. This structure addresses many challenges confronting our community. This is a common governing structure used in communities across the United States. More than 60% of American cities with populations over 50,000 utilize this form of government. It is a recommended form of government in the National Civic League's Model City Charter, in part because it clearly defines roles, responsibilities, and lines of accountability. In our current form of government, the commission, which consists of 10 commissioners and our mayor, not only set policy, but also make day-to-day decisions of how the government operates. This can slow decision-making by forcing commissioners to address both strategic priorities and departmental details, which can lead to micromanagement in departmental affairs. Additionally, Commission has created challenges in the management of Augusta by shifting the role of the Commission to focus on policy. This allows the Commission to set strategic priorities and delegate the day-to-day operations to a professional manager who is directly accountable to the Commission and is subject to removal at any time for failure to be responsive. This new form of government will have a professional, credentialed manager who hires and fires departmental heads, allowing the manager to hold the department heads accountable for meeting the strategic objectives of the Commission. The manager will oversee the day-to-day operations, ensuring effective planning, supervision, and accountability among departmental heads and their staff. The role of the Commission is to set policy, approve budgets, and monitor their implementation. Through this structure, the Commission established a clear chain of command, much like the board overseeing the chief executive officer of a large company. The Commission, manager form of government, explicitly separates the role of commissioners from operations. Commissioners are required to present their issues to the manager, who coordinates with the departmental heads to resolve them. This maintains clear accountability of manager to the commission while safeguarding departments from receiving mixed or inconsistent guidance. This is a significant change from Augusta's current practice. The manager will fully oversee all 28 departments for the consolidated government, set their budgets, which will be approved by the commission, oversee goals and objectives, ensure performance reviews are taking place and used in decision making. The manager will have greater authority over budgets. This can help create a culture shift that encourages departmental heads to focus on goals for employees and push for greater accountability. This is a sharp contrast to the current situation where performance reviews have not occurred consistently, not at all in all departments. In some cases, they have not occurred in 8 or 9 years. Additionally, this places the clear responsibility squarely on the manager to ensure that Augusta's departmental leadership remains active and innovative. I believe there's a tremendous upside to moving to a professionally credentialed manager to lead Augusta's operations. I do want to mention a couple of other issues that influenced our move to the manager form. Research shared with the committee demonstrated that manager-led governments were generally more efficient and effective, more so in the delivery of public services and keeping costs contained. Further, there is a clear evidence that a manager-led government have lower levels of corruption. These and other research findings bolstered our understanding and support for a manager form of government. In addition to unanimously proposing a manager form of government, the Charter Review Committee has explored many other issues. For example, we have cleaned up the charter by eliminating sections that were duplicative or state law and recommended that certain sections be moved to the Code of Ordinances. However, even with the changes we have proposed, there may be other issues which emerge in the future that need to be addressed. As a result, we believe that a charter should be reevaluated on a regular basis. Because of this, the Charter Review Committee voted unanimously to require a charter review every 7 years from the time a new charter takes effect. A new Charter Review Committee would undertake a review of the charter to determine if revisions are warranted. This will create a nimble review process which allows the committee to address issues in a timely fashion. Based on our work, we believe that future charter reviews will be more streamlined and manageable. I'm confident the next review will be accomplished in a much shorter time frame. The proposed revisions to the charter that the committee has been working on will, I believe, stand up to the test of time. And yet, it would be irresponsible for us to assume we got everything right. This review will provide our community the opportunity to remedy any deficiencies which might emerge during that time. Overall, our move to a professional credential manager will provide strong leadership to Augusta, enhance the performance expectations, and increase accountability.
My name is Clarence Lee Powell, and I am the chairman of the Finance Subcommittee for the Charter Review Committee. Although we cannot undo past decisions, I am confident that Augusta would be in a far better position than we are previously if we had previously implemented an internal audit department, such as one recommended by the Charter Review Committee. Our subcommittee recommended, and the full Charter Review Committee approved, the establishment of an independent audit function within the Augusta government to help rebuild trust between the government and its citizens. It is essential to the proper administration and operation of the Augusta government that public officials, government managers, and private citizens know that not only whether government funds are handled properly and in compliance with laws and regulations, but also whether public programs are achieving the purposes for which they were authorized, funded, and are doing so efficiently, effectively, and equitably. An independent internal audit department can provide objective information on the operations of government programs, assist managers in carrying out their responsibilities, and help ensure full transparency as accountability to the public. Internal auditing is defined as an independent, objective assurance and consulting activity designed to add value to the organization's operations by bringing a systematic, disciplined approach to evaluate and improve the effectiveness of risk management, control, and government processes. The full committee adopted our recommendations, which included guaranteeing annual funding for the internal audit department and establishing an audit oversight committee. Both additions are designed to ensure that audits are carried out within the local government without political interference from inside or outside the local government. Governments use a variety of audits depending on the type of information needed. The most common audits are performance and financial audits. For example, when a local government receives a grant from the federal government, the spending of that grant is subject to audit. As you are probably aware, Augusta is now in the process of a type of audit for grant monies dispersed to housing and community development. The Charter Review Committee proposal will grant an independent internal auditor the ability to do additional audits of the government as needed. Some of these audits will be random and others will be driven either by request or in response to indicators. Each year, Augusta is required to go through a financial audit by an outside accounting firm. The audit is required by state law and must be submitted to the state auditors by June 30th of each year. Given the other audits of recreation and community development, the required state audit for fiscal 2024 has not, at this time, been completed to the state. The fiscal year 25 audit will be due June 30th of 2026. It is important for citizens to understand that audits are a tool to test whether or not financial policies, procedures, and budgets are being followed, and whether money and resources are being used as authorized. Audits can identify waste, fraud, and abuse. You may sometimes hear of special audits, such as a forensic audit. Forensic audits are typically only utilized by the FBI and the GBI and other law enforcement agencies. In those scenarios, they come in, they shut down the entity being forensically audited, and once the audit is complete, findings may or may not be presented. Findings are not released in instances where they are part of an ongoing investigation. Typical triggers for forensic audits in Georgia local governments include suspected embezzlement, fraud, or misappropriation of funds, large unexplained budget shortfalls or accounting irregularities, high-profile questioning spending with P-cards, travel, contracts, and or political disputes where elected officials or residents demand deeper review than a routine financial audit. Most audits result in procedural audit findings where recommendations are made to existing policies and procedures that need strengthening. Rarely does a forensic audit produce results that lead to indictments. I want to provide you with a brief overview of some of the key points that the committee adopted. First, there will be a 5-member audit oversight committee. This will include the mayor pro tem, the chair of the commission's finance committee, and 2 at-large members who shall be appointed by the governing body. The 2 at-large members shall be residents of Augusta with expertise in finance and management, preferably performance auditing as well as financial auditing duties. The Audit Oversight Committee will review the internal auditor's audit plan, ensure that complete audits are shared, and submit the internal auditor's proposed budget to the Commission. The Augusta internal auditor shall be designated through appointment by a majority vote of the Commission. The internal auditor shall possess adequate professional proficiency for the job and be most highly qualified to perform the required services. This may be demonstrated through the possession of certifications such as Certified Internal Auditor, Certified Public Accountant, or an advanced degree with at least 5 years of experience in government auditing, evaluation, or analysis. The Internal Auditor's Office may have additional employees as necessary to carry out its responsibilities. The Internal Auditor shall have authority to conduct financial and performance audits of all departments, offices, boards, activities, agencies, and programs in Augusta. These audits may examine a large range of topics, such as whether funds are being spent appropriately and a program is using resources to accomplish its objectives, or the activity is managed economically, efficiently, and equitably, and effectively in a manner consistent with the objectives of the Commission. The internal auditor will be required to follow government auditing standards. As part of this, the internal auditor will prepare an annual audit plan for each year to guide his work. The auditor will have the authority to examine all information necessary to complete his or her work. When an audit is completed, a final draft of the audit report will be forwarded to the audited department and the manager. The department is then obligated to submit a written response. Every audit will conclude with a report. The report will have relevant background information, findings, and recommendations. These reports will be shared with the Audit Oversight Committee, the Commission, the manager, and the public. The internal auditor shall follow up to verify the actions have been taken in response to the findings and recommendations of the audit. Note that if during an audit an internal auditor becomes aware of abuse of potential illegal acts or indications of such acts that could affect the government entity, the internal auditor shall report the irregularities to the appropriate authorities, including law enforcement, as necessary. In addition to issuing individual audit reports, the internal auditor shall prepare an annual report for the Commission detailing the audit activities conducted and their resulting outcomes. There's also a mechanism for evaluating the internal auditor's work to ensure that it meets government auditing standards. The Charter Review Committee strongly endorses the inclusion of an internal auditor in the Charter. We believe this will be an important tool to enhance the efficiency, effectiveness, and transparency of Augusta's government.
My name is Sheffy Robinson, and I am a member of the Augusta Charter Review Committee. I've had the honor of thinking carefully about how we can create a charter that will strengthen our government and improve its ability to serve our community. The committee has addressed a number of critical issues, such as moving to a professional manager to oversee the day-to-day operations of Augusta. Additionally, the committee has recommended the creation of an internal audits function to improve accountability and transparency of the government. I believe that including ethics in our charter will strengthen the core foundations of our government and lead to an improved understanding of expectations. Strong ethics language belongs in the charter. Local government works best when expectations are clear, enforceable, and shared. Charters exist for that reason. They define not only how power is exercised, but how it is limited. When ethical standards are vague or scattered, accountability becomes inconsistent and public trust erodes over time. The proposed ethics language now in recommendation for Augusta Richmond County's charter is designed to address that problem directly. It moves ethics from implication to obligation and from reaction to prevention. At the foundation of the language is a simple principle. Public officials are fiduciaries. They are responsible for maintaining and adequately using public funds. Elected officials, appointed officers, and government employees hold authority and trust for the residents they serve. This framing matters because it shifts ethics from a list of prohibited acts to a standard of duty. By explicitly stating that officials act in a fiduciary capacity, the charter establishes a lens through which all conduct is evaluated. Decisions are judged not only by legality, but whether they serve the public interest. Constituents are responsible to make sure they vote in elected officials that are understanding of the fiduciary responsibility and making the right choices for our city. Many charters rely on references to state law and criminal penalties that activate after misconduct has already occurred. That approach does little to prevent ethical failures before the harm is done. So the proposed language focuses on early identification and prevention of conflicts of interest. Officials are prohibited from engaging in business, employment, or relationships that impair or reasonably appear to impair independent judgment. This includes financial interests, private employment that conflicts with public duties, misuse of confidential information, and representation of private interests against the government one serves. Disclosure and recusal are at the central piece of this. When an official has a financial interest in a matter, it must be disclosed publicly and entered into the record. Participation in the decision is prohibited, and transparency before action is the safeguard. Ethical failures in local government most often occur not in public debate, but in administrative decisions. Hiring, procurement, contracting, and appointments are where favoritism, self-dealing, and undue influence tend to surface. The proposed language directs the adoption of ordinances that prevent nepotism, regulate procurement, and require recusal in hiring and contracting decisions. It also restricts members of the ethics board from influencing these processes, reinforcing the independence of oversight. Ethical standards must be enforceable to be meaningful. The proposed language attaches consequences that are proportional and structural. Knowingly concealing conflicts constitutes malfeasance, meaning that if an official knows they have certain interest in a matter and do not recuse that information, it is almost certainly determined that there is dishonesty. Contracts entered into with knowledge of a violation are voidable. Officials who violate these standards forfeit their positions and are barred from future service for a defined period. These provisions are designed not as punishment, but as deterrence and institutional protection. Some governance issues can be handled in ordinance, and that was by design. The charter is meant to be an overarching umbrella to which the government manages its business, but we, of course, left some details to be decided by our commission, and that is done through ordinance. Ordinances can be amended quietly and frequently, which is definitely different from the charter. So again, another reason why we are leaned on that for efficiency. Charters require public deliberation and board agreement, but embedding ethics standards in the charter establishes them as a foundation that is not intrinsically political. It ensures continuity across administrations and consistency in enforcement, regardless of who holds the office. In a consolidated government like Augusta Richmond County, this clarity matters. Shared power requires shared rules. Strong ethics language provides those rules and enforces public confidence in how decisions are made. Good governance is just not built on personalities, it's built on systems. And the ethics language in the charter functions as the infrastructure for that system. It creates predictable expectations, transparent processes, and durable accountability. The proposed provisions recognize that ethical governance does not depend on assuming bad intent. It depends on designing systems that anticipate pressure, complexity, and competing interests. When ethics are defined, enforceable, and durable, public trust has a foundation to thrive. That is what this language is designed to provide for Augusta-Richmond County. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. I would like to invite anyone that would have questions or things they'd like to hear more about or ideas to either come here or we can send a microphone around that might make it easier. We're happy to do that. Frank, you feeling up to that? No? Okay. Mr. Gaines? Mr. Gaines. Okay. Reverend Williams? Would you like, let me bring it to you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
You bet.
Good evening to all of you. And I hate to be the bearer, pardon the expression, and you all know what comes behind that, but not necessarily bad news, but somewhat of ill feelings. And I would hope that okay, thank you. I would hate to be the one who seemed to have a feeling of somewhat, I must say, irresponsibility. Now, when I say that based on what I understand. And I would like to start today, first of all. And let me do this, if I may. This is not the first time that I've spoken to this committee. Several times I've been in the presence, been in the meetings, and been a part of helping to float this process in a manner where it's accepted in terms of the work that you do. The first time I came before you all as a committee, I spoke to you with a word of encouragement. And that word of encouragement was to have you to carry out your responsibility in a way where you will not get to where I think you are now. When it comes to, and you've talked a lot tonight in your presentation about ethics. I'm concerned about integrity. I'm concerned about decorum. And I spoke to you all about that with encouragement that you would not allow yourself as a committee and even personally get to a point where your work is questioned. Questioned in a manner where I don't know how many of you watched today or was present, but I watched the full meeting today online, and I was very discouraged at the end with some of the things that I saw happen and that was said. One in reference to the attorney, the advisor to this committee, made a presentation. He presented something that was questioned and brought into question. And it was questioned by two of the committee members, and it went on into discussion. But in the end, the way, and I do believe, and I would ask him and this committee through the committee chair, that he apologize to the citizens of Augusta, to this committee, and to the committee person that was in the discussion with him and you can go back and look at your meeting, and you can see it, that decorum and respect, I believe, was lost. And I think you know what I'm talking about. When it comes to talking about ethics, I don't believe that the attorney has the right to make changes. And when the changes are brought into the committee, nobody knows anything about it to include the consultants that have been hired to help you. And in the end, he had to admit that he was the one that brought the change that was going to be a major change to part of this ethics, I believe, that you all were discussing. But with that, I would ask that the attorney apologize to the citizens of Augusta, to this committee, and to the committee person that conversation he was involved with. Ma'am. Not that he have to do it now.
I'm sorry?
I said not that he have to do it now, but go ahead.
Okay, the question for you, and I'm going to lose it, so I'm going to defer back. You continue, and it'll come back to me. I did have a question.
Oh, okay.
For you, but it's
Okay.
gone.
Okay. There are several things that I think that we are concerned about as citizens that we have heard the presentations today, and knowing that you all are trying to finalize this report. But I have a question, and I noticed that it has not been discussed even in the presentation that was made. You're talking about internal auditing, and you talk about the form of government, and you talk about ethics and those kind of things. But I have not heard, and we did not hear anything about when it comes to legal in terms of the city having who represents the city from the legal aspect. In other words, will it be an internal legal department, or will it be a contracted or outside attorney? Meaning that what will the commissioners be able to do when it comes to hiring legal or managing legal for the city? Do you all have, or have you written anything? And I think it'll be good for us to hear tonight. Will the commissioners have the authority to hire through not being pinned down by the way that they have to get legal for the city? Are they pinned down with they shall, not they shall, but the legal department? How do I want to say it? Help me out.
So we have internal, if you want me to, I can try to help.
That's where I want to go. Go ahead.
Okay, so the way it is currently set up is the way it goes in the charter going forward. The city currently employs, I think, Jim, is it 4 attorneys or 5?
They have 4.
4 internal attorneys that are on the payroll that work for the city. That is what their whole sole job is. They have different areas of there's different specialties within the law. And currently the way it operates is there is an outside attorney that is hired with municipal expertise by the commission and can be fired by the commission at will. That there is no change at all in the law department.
If we can clarify, please.
Come to the mic and that'll be fine. Thanks.
If we can clarify, please, that's not entirely accurate. Our last general counsel was an employee.
And the commission
So
voted to
that
change
is
that.
a change. So to say that that's not changing, that's not accurate.
That happened before our committee came together, though. The commission was in charge of that. Go ahead, Ann.
Well, right now, we don't have a general counsel. We have an interim
This
general
is correct.
counsel.
That is correct.
So that doesn't mean that the structure itself has changed. It just means temporarily it's interim.
And who votes for it?
But that wasn't what I was talking about. You said that the way that the structure is right now is that general counsel is outside.
And that the
But that is
commission
not
put
the
them there, though.
structure.
The
The
commission was
structure
the one that
is
voted
that
that
the
way.
general counsel is an employee.
All right, let's let Dr. Robinson step in here.
Okay, with respect to actual decorum, I would ask that our own council members practice decorum to each other, please. To answer the question, what we have that is being recommended is what's actually in the current charter. The practice of the previous attorney being an employee was done via ordinance. In our current charter, it literally says an attorney at law. So in that vein, it didn't change, but the practice of how it has been done historically has been a bit all over the place, to be honest. But the language in the charter is not that different between what we currently have to what is being suggested. Could it be? Let's see. I'm trying to say this in the best way possible. I don't know that we had enough time to make a lot of adjustments to that information, but we do know, based on the history of what has actually happened with the commission, they have at sometimes had an employee, they have at sometimes had a outside counsel. The language proposed is pretty on par for what's in the current charter right now.
And since you said that, help us out to understand, are they going to be bound by hiring an outside law firm or attorney, or are they going to be able to have its own legal, as opposed to bound by shall have, or?
The law department still remains. So nothing about that language changed whether the city has its own law department. It's not that the entire law department is being shifted to an outside attorney. That's not what's happening at all.
Okay. Okay. And that's the way the proposed change reads, that you well, not proposed change, but whatever reads the way you're going to put it into?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
But let the lawyer talk.
Okay.
So when consolidation occurred, there was a gentleman by the name of Jim Wall. He was the county attorney for a number of years. During that time, there was a law department created, which is required in the charter.
Right.
The charter provides that there can have a county attorney,
Right.
and there shall be a law department. After
Meaning the county has its own law department.
has its own law department. It took a couple of years for that to be formed. After Jim Wall was resigned, Steve Shepard became county attorney. He served for about 3 years.
Right.
Todd Boudreau. And after Todd, we went through a series of internally or hired general counsel. I think it started with Gene Jessup and Chiquita Johnson. I think there was someone after Chiquita. Then it was Andrew McKenzie, and then it was Wayne Brown.
Right.
Wayne Brown retired, but all during this time, except for maybe the first 3 or 4 years of Jim Wall's involvement, there's always been a law department. The new law, the proposal is that there would still be a law department, but there was discussion on whether or not there shall be or may be a firm and external attorney, and the language they adopted was shall. So the attorney would be, the chief legal officer would be someone that was not employed full-time by the county, but they would represent and they would manage the law department, which currently has 4 active attorneys and has 2 unfilled positions.
Could that be a law firm?
It could.
And that's the question, and that's the issue. That's the question, and that's the issue, and that's the concern when it comes to a law firm handling and being the legal advisor for the county itself, as opposed to, now, you can have a law department, and when there are certain things that may be out of the purview possibly, that's when you go in and do an outside contractor, meaning outside attorney. But when you have a legal firm, I just use that term, a legal firm dictates the legality of the government, then help me out. That
I'm not exactly understanding your question.
Okay,
If you rephrase it.
you have a law firm,
So the idea is that you could, most attorneys are involved in some group of lawyers. We'll call that a law firm. So some organizations, some counties and things like that designate a firm. That firm provides our legal services. That is going to serve as our chief advisor, legal advice. You can also designate an individual as opposed to who may be a member of a firm, but designate a person to serve as that role, okay? In either event, firm or an individual, currently Augusta has, engaged me as their interim general counsel, that person, I'm external. But I manage the law department, and that law department under the proposed agreement will always exist. So that part's, if you were to take today's situation, or when Jim Wall was involved, or Steve was involved, it's the same situation. The difference is whether or not that chief legal officer is a W-2 employee, or if it's a 1099 person.
1099. Yeah, okay.
So that's basically the difference.
The law department doesn't get replaced.
No, sir, there's a lot of advantages with law departments, to be quite honest with you. They can handle a lot of issues that require extensive work.
Right.
So that you can have that. I'm on a flat fee, so I spend as much time as needed. But if you have someone who's on an hourly basis, you can have people who would research things from other jurisdictions and things of that nature. And that's part of the law department. There are a lot of departments that have nuanced issues, and right now each of the lawyers are assigned to various departments. So the law department is not being replaced. Whether or not you fulfill the other two positions is a different issue for whoever ends up being your chief legal officer. During my tenure, I intentionally said I did not want to have the right to hire someone because I think that, without the commission approval, it's because I think that ultimately, whoever your chief legal officer is, should establish the staff that they want to work with. Whether or not that person is employed or is external, they still should have the team that works best with them.
Right. So to the point of what that section for the charter that you all recommend, how does it read?
So it says that there shall be an attorney or firm outside of the law that is not employed, they call it an independent contractor, and that there shall be a law department.
Okay.
I'm paraphrasing, but. Sure.
There are two shalls. One is the chief legal officer shall be a contractor, and there shall be a law department. So the law department remains, and the chief legal officer is not a W-2 employee. That's what the current language we voted on.
Okay. But we could belabor this subject a little longer.
I'd be more than happy to talk with you as long as
I know you would, but I don't want to usurp the
I'm talking
time.
outside of this.
I understand. But I think it's good for the citizens to know and understand because they're getting buzzwords. They're getting things that don't quite set with them in terms of when you start talking about shall, which limits the commissioners in terms of who they can and cannot. Okay? That's
debatable, but I understand your position.
yes. Okay.
Thank you, sir.
I'm gonna, if you would.
I think the man behind the mask is Commissioner.
Good evening. Let me take this off. I did get your message today. I thought I'd see you this evening. Thank you very much. I didn't plan to say anything, but on this subject here, I would like to say something. The charter, the current charter, talks about a law department. And in that law department, I think Andrew McKenzie was the first, what we call general counsel of the law department. When the charter was formed and they put in law department, even though the attorney's correct about Jim Walls and Steve Shepard, his former business partner, that was before, in many ways, the city, they might have had a law department, but they hadn't officially, in their mind, established. They called to establish a law department, and that's when Andrew McKenzie. And that's what the charter says, it shall. With that in mind, they removed all outside counsel, other than for special projects as Attorney Plunkett has been working with the government historically with. And if you see the danger, if I understood, and so if you didn't say this, I apologize to you in advance. If you're going to hire an outside counsel, and I agree to some degree that you're going to have people that's going to work with you of your liking, then you're saying that if we have 4 current employees who are council persons that work for us, then all those can be dismissed by an outside person who does upon employee of the city. That's, you know, because, you know, and so, but what the charter says, so let me just keep it simple. The charter says a legal department. Commissioners have historically understood that to mean their general counsel, their lead attorney will be in-house. That person has the ability to farm out any additional work, and the attorney can approve that. It is never, it was shall. You can see on different things from ordinances that you see that the commission says, you know, well, we can hire general counsel and we can vote on them every year. But the charter clearly said that anything whether that was in this charter that conflict with the Augusta policy, with the county policy prior to consolidation, it is no longer valid. The law department does not give, the current charter does not give way to have outside counsel as lead counsel. The current charter doesn't do that. It doesn't do that.
It was left to the commission to decide
What the commission, well, we said what the charter says. Now, I was saying that this charter doesn't say that. Now, the commission made the hire. They gave Attorney Plunkett initially 6 months. They gave him another 6 months. And so now that should have been to the end of the year. I don't know whether that contract has been renewed at this point. But to the point, he's an interim outside counsel, you know, for the city. But the charter does not support that. And even when the contract that he signed, and this is no fault of his own now, it says that the city would not do anything that would have any kind of impact on the current charter and the status of the law department. That's what it says. I was trying to pull it up, but I've been so anxious to get up here, I couldn't pull it all up. But I know what it says.
I have it here. It is section 1.51, county attorney, power and authority to elect, duties, terms, compensation, so on and so forth. The first sentence reads, the Board of Commissioners shall have the authority to elect an attorney at law.
That's what you're looking at now. That's not is that the charter?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Who is licensed as such and whose duty is, it shall be to advise and represent the said Board of Commissioners in all legal matters pertaining to the discharge of their official duties and to represent the interests of the county as said Board of Commissioners deem it proper. Now, here's where things get kind of hairy of what type of a person this should be. The bottom sentence of that same section says, the county attorney shall be ineligible for membership under any existing pension or retirement laws of Richmond County.
That's not the charter. What you're reading.
This is the-
It's not the charter. It's not the charter. It's not the charter.
old charter.
No, we're talking about the current charter. That's not it.
This is from the
Let me see it.
yeah. And this is the section right here.
That's not the charter. I'm gonna sit down after that because I don't want to get into it. But remember, I'm gonna say this and I'm gonna sit down. Remember at the very first meeting, I said to you all, you had a book, had about 150 some odd pages in it. And I asked the young man, he's no longer, he was representing District 5 at the time. And I asked him, I said, sir, is that truly what you mean in saying that the books that you have in hand, is that the charter you're saying? Is that the consolidation bill? He says, yes. I said, how many pages does it have? He said it has 151. The consolidation bill only has 31 pages. I'm gone. That's all it is. 31 pages.
Other questions? Yes, sir.
Actually,
We have a line right here.
I see.
Come on, Reverend.
Oh, Jesus. Okay.
My name is Bill Fenoy, 1420 Commonwealth Way, Hepzibah, Georgia, 30815. I have some concerns about the roles of the administrator and the roles of a manager. The commissioners just approved a new department for groundkeeping, and they did that under an administrator. How would having a manager make this an easier process?
I would say that has been an issue in the city for 6 or 7 years, and it's because you cannot expect to have, you can't put a department together without a vote of the commission, nor should you be able to. And somehow it has just been not ever passed by the 11. One of the reasons we chose the form of government we did is because the form we currently have is on its way out to extinction. Fewer than 3% of the cities in our country use what we currently do. The reason is, and Sue Parham is here from the Chamber of Commerce, she could explain it to you very succinctly. It is not nimble, it belabors things, it does not maintain accountability for those that are on fixed incomes. So we went hunting for something that took advantage of all the benefits government should be providing its citizens, and selected the system that most closely matched what we heard from the citizens. They wanted accountability. They wanted to know where their tax dollars went. They do want their roads fixed. And so there are the laundry list of this, what the citizens would like is lengthy. But if you're going to have 11 people have to agree on every time to do anything, you're going to be waiting a while. And so a manager changes the equation. A manager comes back, is in charge of 28 people, currently, 28 department heads. And then they do goals and objectives, what the citizens want. The commission gives the manager direction on how they want to see it taken care of, and then it's the manager's job. It's hands off after that. The manager assembles goals and objectives for each of those departments. There would not have been 4 departments with a manager. So that there are, I'm sure there are other examples you may have, but what we've heard from the citizens is we want a government that works for us, actually does what they say they're going to do instead of promising and see in 4 years, you know. It's much easier with a manager. And that's why 60% of the governments in our country use that form. Does that cover your question then? All right. Okay. So.
How would having a manager making the formation of a new department easier than having an administrator to do the same thing?
Okay. So the short answer is, in the current government, it takes a vote of 11 people to make that happen. That didn't happen for years.
Can I say something?
Certainly.
I'm remiss to even say anything.
No, it's okay, hon, please.
I am a 32-year employee of the city of Augusta.
Yes, sir.
County. I served under powerful mayor, commission system, the whole shebang up until now.
Can we get a microphone for the...
Certainly.
So you have to give me names.
Okay.
And it's not the system of government that's the problem. It's the people in the government that's the problem. When you don't listen to the people that you represent, it's going to always be a problem. There's never been gridlock. My name is Larry Harris. I live at 30. You really made me messed up now, but 3003 Story Mill Circle, Hepzibah, Georgia.
All right.
But again, we have to look at the truth. If people in politics do what's right for everybody,
I don't disagree with you on that.
it would be 100%. We could have one person and it would be good. We could have 20 or 100 people in the government. If they're doing what's right, it's going to be good. It's when we agendarize what we are trying to do, that's when the problems come. And we start manipulating the situations in the government. If you have 6 people here that have a vote, you find one that's with them and move him over to the other side, and then you got gridlock because now you can't do nothing because what that 5 or 6 was trying to do was good for the government and for the people. Now you've gridlocked it.
That's right, but that's exactly what we're saying.
But
Exactly what we're saying.
But what we're trying to do with
We're not in
government-
disagreement here at all.
I understand what we're trying to do with this, with what we're doing. It's not going to change the situation.
Well, it takes it away from the
Well, are
influence.
you not going to have people involved?
Oh, you absolutely are. It
Okay.
segregates the roles,
Okay.
though.
That is the whole thing. As long as you got people involved that are genderizing what they're trying to do, the city's going to have the problem. We've got to stop with genderizing.
All right, who's next? Did you sign up there, sir? Have at it, hon.
Anthony Booker, 3953 Bolton Street, Augusta 30909. Pastor Broadway Baptist Church, President of the Baptist Ministers Conference here in the city of Augusta. And you may need to correct me here and there. I brought mine and wrote it down so I can make sure I can cover it. And don't get too far off on tangents. I want to talk about what you all talked about today, the equal opportunity section, in which there was a change of language. And I believe that the present charter or the booklet that you carry, where Brother Hassan said that is the act is 31 pages and your book is a little bit larger, talks about race and so on when it's talking about equal opportunity. You all have chosen to change the language there to all citizens. Amen. And I believe that the current explicit language is focused on disadvantaged persons in our community because we already have a disadvantaged number. Because when you look around the city of Augusta and see who's getting all the contracts, when you see who's doing all the demolition and all the building is already inside of Augusta and it's going one way. Now, I'm a preacher, so I need some amens. So the language, I believe, weakens that department. Secondly, weakens the change in language weakens. When you're talking about equal opportunity and you say all citizens, you're taking out the most disadvantaged citizens.
So can we just time out for a second there? When you use the term EEOC, the language is captured right there. The very same things that were stated explicitly are captured in the EEOC language.
Yeah, but you leave a little room for playing if you're not detailed in your language. Depending upon who you got there, if it's not written in detail, I can still say I got somebody from Augusta, and let me say this: white women are the most are the greater recipients of the EEOC. So in this way, just leaving the language out, and if I'm the officer in that department, I can say I follow the rule and I showed somebody in Augusta and it was all white men. Amen. And those who are disadvantaged, still a disadvantage. The poverty rate in Augusta is 24%, the state is 14%. You will never bring that poverty rate down in Augusta if the wealth is not shared.
That's why we have.
Hold on.
Secondly,
I can answer that one really quick. So the reason we simplified the language in the charter is because what the procurement office uses is much more defined.
I got you. I figured that.
So it was kind of like push some of these things to ordinance as much as possible so that the elected officials have more power to maneuver as they see fit, which could be maneuvered in the wrong way. I got you. We there. But we knew going into that the language provided by procurement was much, much more stringent.
Okay.
And that's what they would follow first.
Gotcha. If I'm on the other side, and I say that I've been disenfranchised, and you point me to one of those departments manuals with the language, and I hire an attorney equally good as Mr. Shepard, or hire the firm that Representative Brown used to work for, and say that I want to base this lawsuit off the charter itself, the Constitution of Augusta, Georgia. Which one might stand?
That's a good question.
Thank you.
I'm not an attorney. Were the attorneys in the room?
Lastly, if that's the Constitution of Augusta, the Constitution gonna stand over a department policy.
Fair.
You can't dance around it.
It's not wrong.
Lastly, I got about 10 pages, but I'm gonna wind it up. Lastly, presently the director is EEOC and compliance. Compliance. Let me go to my note on that. EOC minority compliance, which is minority small business. The new proposal requires, again, it just said equal opportunity director, but it shifts the director emphasis towards ensuring equal opportunity for all citizens, taking out of the equation the disadvantaged citizens. Again, leaving disadvantage. And the church said, amen. Now, I don't know how y'all might read that, but again, if this is the Constitution, I think it needs to be a little more detailed as relate to those who are disadvantaged, minorities, women, disabilities, thank you.
All of which is covered by federal legislation, you understand, which trumps state or local. And this is what we're bumping up against.
Okay.
We are doing this for Augusta, Georgia, but you also have the burden of law, the next level up, which would be the state. And
But can you all provide us the safety net of putting it in there?
We could, but it's not advisable, and here's why. First off, you want to leave your commissioners enough room to deal with things as they come up. We have an EEOC officer, we have a grants compliance, we're trying to have a grants compliance person under the compliance office, and then we have a disadvantaged business enterprise person, all on the payroll already. Their sole jobs are to make sure exactly what you're asking for.
I got you.
And I'll be happy to supply their names and phone numbers, and you will find that they have great latitude to do things. They're actually, I've got Dr. Jackson is writing a big chunk of our report that is getting ready to accompany this charter with recommendations.
You may not be aware of this, and you all can check me out on the facts. Since the removing of some persons, some black-owned businesses who have been doing business with the city have been moved. That's current.
Moved off?
Yeah,
Not
that's
familiar with that.
I can talk to you off cuff and give you some names,
Okay.
which is true,
I have no reason to doubt it.
which sets a trend of where we're headed. We're in a city, I'm 60% African American. Again, the poverty rate is 24%, state average is 14. And the wages are low, number one. But when you can't be ensured that you're going to get an opportunity,
But that's what those offices exist to guarantee.
but you don't have it in writing in the city's constitution. I understand you got it in policies, different places, other departments. I get that. I understand that.
It's in city ordinance too. Mr. Plunkett, is that not the case? So there are laws in place to assure this at all levels, all the way up the food chain.
You know, I think one of the things that we ought to pause for just a second is this is a public hearing and to get feedback, okay? You're providing valid feedback tonight. And so, you know, the document has not been finalized. There's nothing that's being submitted to the commission or to the state or anyone else. And so you have raised this issue tonight. Now, whether or not the 11 members agree that they should put in, you know, that it says that essentially that state and federal law will apply and to be equal opportunity for all citizens, you know, that's the language they have. That's what they've considered today. But my point of it is that you've raised this issue. Several people in here have given you amens tonight, and I think that we have 11 members here. I think they're going to go back and take that into consideration, and they may ask Carl Vinson to tweak the language to say that. I don't know if they will or will not, but the point of tonight is to have feedback, not debate the language that hasn't been finalized. And I think you have brought a very valid concern tonight. And I think that's, whether or not it is incorporated or not, the point is this evening is to be heard, and you're very much being heard. And clearly, many people here are hearing that. And so, you know, we can get into the nuances of language, but I don't know that's entirely. You've raised the point, very valid point, very eloquently raised the point, and I think that they're hearing you. So whether or not they change it, I can't tell you that or not, but I think that's the point of this evening.
Madam Chair, can we get Carl Vinson to weigh in on it since they're consultants to provide us some?
Sure. No.
Good evening, Reverend Booker. It's nice to see you. I'm Steve Fouché, if you don't recall. Our Constitution says that all men are created equal. It does not say all disadvantaged men are created equal. It says all men. So I think what our committee was trying to do is come up with language that incorporates every member of our community equally. Everyone equally. At some point in time, Augusta really needs to move forward beyond race. The only way we do that is to eliminate any racial overtones.
I don't know if I ought to be the one to respond to that.
Can I get an amen?
I don't know.
Your congregation is going to support your viewpoint, sir. I understand that. I'm a second-rate citizen in their eyes.
No, trust me, you're not. Trust me, you're not.
Well,
No.
thank you for that. But I would just ask you to read the language. We voted unanimously on that document today.
Okay, hang on.
I'm sorry, we had one no.
All right. So, did you want to speak?
Well, I just want Carl Vinson to weigh in on this. I mean, we got them in the back here. There's questions that we've been discussing.
All right. I think it would be,
because this
sure.
the folks that we're listening to, we're making
So-
our judgment off of.
Dr. Facer, maybe you'll do a better job than I've done explaining how several layers of law overarch and underpin everything we're doing. This is Dr. Rex Facer from the University of Georgia.
So, it's too loud in my ear. So, there are a number of issues here. One, this is language that is typical of charters. Secondly, what they're doing is they're recognizing the supremacy of federal law and state law and saying we're going to recognize that, and that's going to govern Augusta as well. And the way that gets implemented will be at the direction of the commission, and that gives the commission the latitude on how they want to do that. But this is essentially typical language that's used in charters that is kind of broadly acknowledging the supremacy of federal and state law. So.
Very good. Thank you. You can, but Zakia do you want to ask questions of Dr. Facer? Okay. Zakia, go ahead.
Good evening. My name is Dr. Zakia Mabry, and fairly new to Augusta. We've been here for about 3 years. I have experience at the federal level. I've managed federal EEO offices as the director. I've worked at high levels of the government. And so when you talk about EEO, I didn't see that portion today, sir, which you brought up, but it really piqued my interest, because what's happening is because the language they use is because of this current administration. If you went back prior administrations, they don't use that language. It is very specific, and you have to be specific, because when you're processing EEO complaints, which I have investigated, that you have to see which one of the protected categories you're going to file an EEO case on. So if you don't have that in there, you don't have the teeth in order to challenge if something happens. And I understand, ma'am, that you said that it's in other places and you have an EEO officer outstanding, but what harm does it have in having it in the charter as well? And I don't, and to you, sir, who said that we're all amen because we go to his church, I don't know him. I don't go to his church. Okay. So I was amen because I agreed. And then I also had a comment that I prepared before I even came here, and it's just a question because of my EEO and HR management background. I wanted to know, when we're looking at the city manager position, can you please tell us how we're going to measure performance? And I think that's very important to be in there as well. And when you're looking at measuring performance, is it going to be a 360? Who's evaluating? And also what different things, not just operation-wise. We can also talk about the soft skills. The first comment today was talking about soft skills. For those that may not know exactly what soft skills mean, how you present to other people, if you're being polite. So are we also going to look at the soft skills of the individual in this position? If we are, can you please state what those elements are going to look like? And I think that definitely should be included in the charter. Thank you.
So one point of clarity, in the EEOC, any EEO language, it does specifically state that we follow the federal and state guidelines for EEO. That specifically is there for that purpose that you just mentioned, because we recognize that some things are changing at our other levels that we may not be able to account for or supersede. So that's why we went specifically and said, what is noted in federal and state regulation. As far as performance measures for your city manager, I don't know that we had put that in language. Oh, that's correct. It's personnel, so that is handled at the HR level.
So are you developing it so that you can have a link to that in the charter to say, see this?
That's out of the purview of us.
Outside of our jurisdiction for what we're supposed to be doing. We can't usurp city employees and the commission will. We're just a temporary committee.
Yeah.
But it's a good question. Okay, who is next?
Good afternoon. My name is George Brown. I live at 3107 Bellamy Drive.
Right.
I think I had some experience in Augusta working on every charter bill that came through this community. The first one that we passed in the 1970, we put it out for a referendum for the vote to the citizens in 1972, and it lost when it was decided how we were going to consolidate our government. Coming forward today, I was invited to the House and was honored for being a legislator 43 years ago in the Georgia General Assembly. But prior to going to the General Assembly, we always went to a biannual training in Athens. And one agency I always leaned on was the Carl Vinson Institute. When I was dealing with the charter changes in the referendum in the 70s and 80s, we lost it. And then in 95, we finally passed one that got out. But if any of you been around here during that time, you'll realize that I was the last person to sign off on the consolidation bill in 1995, so we could get it to the voters in, 96 when it finally passed. But my reluctance for signing is make sure we get everything correct. And some things, being a political science student, a pre-law student, working in law firms and civil rights organizations, some things was happening that made common sense to me. So today, what I wanted to know, when I got involved in this process, I called a friend of mine who was on the commission, and we talked, and I said, well, I ain't gonna say who he is, because if I tell you what his title is, you know what he talked about. So what he told me on the phone, so what's wrong with this government? We can't get anything done. But those individuals down there. So what he was telling me, it wasn't the form of government, it was the people that we had in the government. So my question to you is, at this point, I heard a lot about the legal department, the council, external counsel, all like that. But I did teach business administration, line and staff organization structure. I know you got to have a line and a structure. You got to be following. A coach or anybody, you got a structure. Now, I want to know, who are these people going to be reporting to? And how many votes do they really need to get things done in this government? I know it's not 11. Because the first day I went to General Assembly, I had a bill in my pocket. And that bill was, I knew from working in the elections with my parents as a kid, with the NAACP, the Civil Rights Group, the elections in the city of Augusta were conducted by the mayor's office. The clerk for the city of Augusta conducted election. I had a bill in my pocket when I went to the Institute in November of '82 that I was going to change that. But I waited until my hand was raised and I was sworn in with the General Assembly, call the people in Augusta and say, we need to change it. I went to the county board election, talked to their director, talked to the civil government, talked to the, and they said, yeah, we could change it. And the tweet was simple. I learned how to count votes. There's 180 members in the House. You need 91 votes to get anything out there. There were 35 people in the House of Representatives look like me. So I knew right then that at that point, I couldn't pass anything in the Georgia General Assembly to help Augusta, unless I had the 91 votes. So that means I had to partner with people who were Republicans and Democrats that didn't look like me to get the bill out. So we passed a bill to take the election from the city of Augusta up under the clerk's office and give it to the Richmond County Board election. But it taught me a great deal about that process. So what I want to know about this process is, why is this charter review committee saying they got to present this bill, I'm asking you, to all these people in the government, the governor, the speaker, and all these other folks, when they are a sub-agency of the Augusta Richmond County Commission? Are they exceeding their authority, going beyond that scope? Do they have an authority to do that? And why should we get all those people involved in our process without the citizen knowing exactly what's in that bill before it is presented by the Richmond County delegation to the Georgia House of Representatives?
Sure, and the simple answer is because that's the structure that the county commission, the Consolidated Governments Commission, mandated. And so they are the ones that said the Charter Review Committee has to submit their report to the commission and to the legislative delegation and to the governor.
So you're saying our local commission and some of those people look like us decided we're going to present this bill to everybody else before we present it to our people.
Yeah.
some flawed with that process. Thank you.
Does he not understand that we're, so
It will eventually go to a vote.
it will go to a vote. We're planning him. I'm sorry? So, hang on, please. You are of the mistaken notion that we're not taking it back to the county commission when we're done? We have listened. Do you know Mr. Clarence Kendrick?
Vision 16 and 17.
Yep.
Okay, 16 said you're going to present it to the county commission, right? 17 said you're going to give it to the governor and these other folks.
Not going there. The right thing to do is to give the respect to the body that created this, and we are going to present it to them. But you can talk to all your commissioners, because a week and a half ago, we gave them the very same thing that the legislature got. There has been no subterfuge. We are trying very hard to keep our commissioners aware of things.
So where we are in that process?
I'm sorry?
Where are we with that process?
So our committee has to finish our work first, and when we're finished, it will get presented to our county commission downtown. And then when that's done, then it goes to Atlanta.
So this is the commission rule, not your rule.
I'm sorry?
The process is what the commission does, not what your committee does. So not the charter review committee. just the charter review.
She says say yes, because I'm having trouble hearing you. All right, Reverend Williams? Oh, Richard. Richard.
Point of order.
Richard, I'm sorry.
Point of order.
Okay. All right, Richard is, yeah, we do need to clear that up, so hold that thought.
Go ahead.
I think there's some mass confusion going on right now,
All
because
right.
you just said that you submitted something to the commission and the legislature, and I don't recall less.
Information.
Yes, but that requires a lot of
Publicly posted
clarification.
information.
Yes. So I think that's why there.
Okay. So,
All of us, when you said that, a good majority of us in the room were like, whoa, hold on. That's why I wanted to point out to you, I think you need to clarify what you meant by that.
all right. So publicly posted information, it went on our website late January. I was getting questions, the cleanest, most responsible way to handle that. That's why I called the meeting that everybody boycotted, is I wanted to make sure I had clarity. So, okay, time out, let me finish the statement. Everybody had just finally said, yes, you have the authority to do it, fine, I did. I thought it was wiser to supply a running list of decisions that have been made. So that, now let's give, well, I'm sorry, I tried.
You literally sat here and just said we boycotted the meeting.
No. You did. You were teaching, and I made that
Point of
clear.
order.
Go ahead, Mr. Jones. You have the floor.
Point of order. Earlier today, you listed qualifications to be a city manager. Now, and I asked the Charter Review Board last month at the meeting, what are the qualifications to be the city attorney, whether or not they're full-time or part-time? What is their governmental experience as an example of qualifications? I'm still not hearing that the city attorney, does they have experience from 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, to be a full-time city attorney? What are the qualifications to be represented as a city attorney? I'm still not hearing it. You talked about the city administrator today, but what about the position of the city attorney? Do they have background experience in governmental procedures, policies, regulations, whether it's at the state level and the county level? I didn't see that today, and I am not seeing it in this meeting tonight.
The only qualification in the charter is that they be an attorney, and that it's then up to the county commission to decide what set of qualifications they prefer.
Okay, then Do I want an attorney that does Consumer Protection Agency, or do I want an attorney that has been dealing with the governmental regulations, laws, and rules?
And I think that's a legitimate issue to bring up with the commission.
That's something y'all can put forward in the charter to the commissioners.
Not without tying the commission's hands. That's not a charter issue. They can set their own parameters, that's why
You mentioned about the city administrator today,
the city manager,
the city manager today.
that's a new position. Okay. Reverend Williams? Uh-huh.
You're talking about the expediency of getting this done. Just today, near the end of your meeting, one of your committee persons made a motion. The motion did not get second, so it died. But the motion was, get the results that Carl Benson, the final results that Carl Benson is going to present to you all by your next meeting, which is March 5th. Approve that report in that meeting without it having been heard or brought back to the citizens. Approve that report at that meeting so that you all can get it to the next day by the 6th to the legislature. Was that not a motion made and it died? So what's the reason for needing to get it done that quick?
There isn't, because today we finished all but 2 minor items. We're done. I'm sorry, pardon me. Our work is done. We are down to the last 2 fine points.
So you have tonight
we have 3 town hall meetings.
Two more town hall meetings.
And a week after that
and a week
is when our next meeting is.
So what will be the effect of what you're hearing from this meeting and subsequent meetings prior to your next meeting? And also, you said that it was going to be presented to the commission.
When we're done, whenever that is.
So
we have decided, the committee has agreed with Mr. Kendrick. It is a matter of respect for the body that appointed us. We are not required to do it according to that piece of paper, but we're going to voluntarily in the interest of keeping everybody.
Citizens tonight, that there won't be a vote to approve or reject, so to speak, the report that Carl Benson is going to give to you maybe the 4th. And you will not have time, other than what you're discussing now, to even review the report that they are presenting.
It's possible, but we can't, none of us has a crystal ball to know when.
We're not talking about crystal ball. We're not dealing with crystal ball. We're not.
Well, we said today if we haven't, we will. Because we've already voted on everything that's going in there. Yeah, the motion failed. Didn't even get a second.
No, I said that. I understand that, but it's the intent.
No, we can't deal with intent. We have to deal with action.
Okay, I'm not going to argue about that. But the perception always has been, and you know that we've been dealing with that, about the expediency of getting this done for the legislature by crossover day, so that it can meet the qualification of being put on the ballot for May.
We don't get to set the date on when it goes on the ballot. That's not our lane.
We know that.
Okay, so I don't know what you would have us do when we're done with our work.
Well, from the way it seems tonight, there's still a lot of questions to be answered. There's still a lot of discussion to be going on. And even though you did not have your town town hall meetings in a manner where when you got this kind of discussion, you would have time rather than be pressured? You're talking about 2 weeks from today?
We don't feel the pressure, sir. You did a good job along with Reverend Booker setting up a number of them. Ms. Kesey with the League of Women Voters did a great job with 5 tables, and you were there with us. So was Reverend Booker. So we've had a lot more feedback than you get with a SPLOST, a tax increase, and that's been baked into the cake with decisions.
And when was that? When was that?
Well, throughout the whole process. I believe, Reverend Booker, you hosted 10 meetings? 12? No. I know.
We've hosted 5 to this point, and 2 more in the next week.
Okay. All right. Ms. Kesey, Dr. Kesey.
There are a couple of things going on here. The last time you heard from the public was back in September. That was before y'all even decided what the form of government was. And a lot has happened since then. And a lot is still happening. I said today, there are 2 ways that this charter can go to the legislature. One is time-bound, and that is general legislation. That means that it goes in, it's put in as a bill, and it's voted on by the entire House, not with the legislature, our delegation pushing it, but that our Republican-controlled House can then control whether that goes through or not. The next thing that it can do, and there is no deadline, so we don't have to get it done by next 2 weeks from now, because we are not bound by crossover day, is if we can get our delegation, our legislative delegation, to agree. Now, that was brought out. Mr. Fouché said they've never agreed. I said, there's a first time for everything. We're a small delegation. It would behoove them to talk to each other. Now, I don't know what was presented to the delegation and to the commission 2 weeks ago. That is brand new. I've been following this procedure. I have been to every meeting, and I'm not sure what was presented to the delegation or to the commission. Now, I do know that there was a special called meeting. It did not follow parliamentary procedure. That's why they also had a meeting on Thursday. That Tuesday meeting was not attended by all of them because they had prior engagements. And so, it didn't happen. So it's not that they boycotted it.
Poor choice of words.
Yes.
You said somebody said it live.
Nope, just poor choice of words. We're going to let it go there. Okay? So what we've got is 2 ways of getting this done. And if we don't have a timeline, we can do it right. We don't have to. We can listen to what we learned from y'all at these 3 meetings, which is why these 3 meetings are being held. They're not being held to tell you what they've done. It's to say, this is what we've done, get your feedback on what we can change or whether we need to change it. Okay? So that's why they're wanting to hear, not debates, but wanting to hear the concerns. And I love your idea, but some of that stuff is ordinance. And so we can't do it. And so some of the things, this is big umbrella. This is big umbrella. So we can go into those weeds, and they did that at the beginning of this process. They were in the weeds totally. Finally moved it out of that. And if you don't stop No. Hush. Okay, please.
Hold on, kids.
Yeah.
Decorum.
Yep, decorum.
All right,
because
decorum. Let me ask
you're
one
being
question to
rude.
Dr. Kesey before.
It goes both ways. So that is
Dr.
rude.
Kesey, we do have a question for you.
Yes.
Would you please relay to the group what the position of the League of Women Voters is for recommended form of government?
Recommended form of government is the manager. That is more balanced. It allows for more accountability, and it allows, and one of the things that you need to keep in mind is that once this charter is approved, there are ordinances that the commission is going to need. Nobody's talked about this yet. So that's going to be a process once we get the charter done to make sure that all these ordinances that are in place match the new form of government.
Thank you.
You got a question for me?
We'd
or
like
her?
to ask of more concerns so the committee can learn more, please. Just leave it there.
Oh, yeah. My name is J.R. Riles. I live at 4006 Marsh Street, Augusta, Georgia, 30909. Why are we wasting our time? They got 6 votes on the committee, 6 votes on the commission, so we might as well get up and go. You're wasting your time.
Okay, good. Are there other concerns we would like to share? All right. I would like to encourage you, if you were, first off, the easy way to find us, everybody's got flip phones. When you're near Wi-Fi, it's easy to tune in and get to it. It's augustagaga.gov. They've just done a beautiful job, the IT department did, of revamping it and making much more user-friendly. And you'll see on the front page, there's a little banner that says Charter Review Committee. So if you want the shortcut, it's a lot easier to get there now than it used to be. They did a terrific job with it. You'll find phone numbers, emails, agendas, committee documents, language that has been approved by the committee, and all of the above. And you can reach out. There's 11 of us. Pick whoever you feel most comfortable with, and feel free to contact any of us. All right. Mr. France wanted to... Oh, are you going to talk again? Okay.
Good evening, everyone. I just wanted to make one brief comment coming from. I've heard a lot this evening about minorities. Let me explain something that we concentrated on real hard doing our research on. We researched cities like Charlotte, Dade County, Columbus, Georgia, places like that that had the current form of government that we have right now. And what we have found in our research, the reason we came back and said we want to go to a manager form of government is because each one of those locations, for example, I'll use Charlotte because I'm from North Carolina. When they went from a commission managed form of government to a manager form of government, don't you know their poverty rate increased or decreased by 36%. So I'm talking numbers here. Augusta is 36% or 65% minorities here in Augusta. So if we're looking at stuff like that, at facts and figures like that, it's a proven fact in 30 years under this form of government, in 30 years, Augusta has the lowest achievement of growth for any city that we researched. So takeaways from this. I know it's a lot of things that we want, and I appreciate what Reverend Booker said. On that same vein, the reason we encompass it, the word all, is to make sure everybody is considered. Okay, not to leave out anyone, whether it be handicapped, whether it be black, whether it be Asian, whether it be Puerto Rican, whatever it is, all encompassing everyone, because we are writing this charter not just for the present, but for the future. These recommendations that we're trying to put forward, that we're trying to send to Atlanta, that we can get a vote on it, because you think about 30 years, since we reviewed this charter, and you think about that we have minimal growth, it's been 200 and some thousand people, and Augusta fell behind the power curve just simply because we cannot continue to do business as usual. It's incumbent of us to do something that's going to make a difference. We can't do the same old thing and expect a different result. So take away that from this evening. I appreciate all your questions because I live here. I have grandchildren, great-grandchildren that live here. I want the best for Augusta, but I don't want to continue to be stuck where we are. We could be doing marvelous things, but we got to approach it from a different level or from a different angle. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Robert.
Can I say one thing to what you said?
Yes, ma'am.
You have to look at impact versus intent versus impact. When you said, I can tell that you all work very hard on it, and I appreciate that. But when you're doing things, especially when you're looking at protected categories, look at intent versus impact. And when you guys go back to meet, maybe you guys can see what I'm talking about and the reason why I'm saying such. But thank you so much to all of you for your hard work.
Thank you, Ann. Okay, and I think Reverend Booker, you are next.
I'll be short.
Takes a real man to wear pink, you know.
It sure does. Real men do wear pink. Let me start by saying I didn't come to say this. I don't think there's no disagreement about city manager. I don't think that's the argument that we've presented tonight about it, because we do understand that we need to go to a city manager position. That's no argument. But I rose to say this, and I'm backtracking to when we first got started, and I should have said it earlier. When the conversation was done, and this has been an ongoing issue that Reverend James Weaver lifted in a different way since the beginning, when the discussion started about outside attorney, law department, and I'm not saying this for us to get dug into it tonight. I just want to lift it. Outside attorney versus law department. In that conversation, and we all understand that Mr. Shepherd is the legal counsel for you all. Plunkett, yeah. His partner was Shepherd. Former partner was Shepherd. Understand that he's the legal counsel for the commission and for this committee. Myself and some others believe that when that conversation was held, one, we think he gave a bad example when he gave the example of his own law firm, when he's the interim serving as the lead attorney, and he's in the position, and the recommendation is a shall, and with all possibilities, the way things look right now with the numbers, say the election coming up, praise the Lord, things are changed then, amen. Amen. Many of us feel that someone else, the young lady, should have stepped up and engaged in that conversation, since she is the in-house and she's very capable of giving direction. You don't have to respond to this. I'm just saying how we...
But I would like to respond to it. So if you go back and look at the workshop and see what my recommendations were, and then decide whether or not I said it was the word shall. I was not consulted on that language. I actually said there's advantages and disadvantages of both. I did not recommend shall to the body at all. In fact, in the conversation, I referenced the issue of may. So I have not done this for the purpose of benefiting myself. And besides the fact, it would not necessarily be me. I'm in an interim position.
Right.
So don't be thinking this is something I'm trying to do to benefit myself.
Now, I'm just saying that it doesn't look
Well, it may look, but if you look into the issues and talk to the people, maybe you would understand that it's not what you're seeing.
Okay, just like I didn't see that monkey in the across my tweet. Seeing is not believing.
I have no idea what you're referencing.
Well, some do. And talking about seeing and talking to. Let me just say this, I'm taking my seat. I don't know if you all heard the gruntle over here earlier when it appeared to be, and Mr. Rouse alluded to it, that it's seemingly that these next couple of meetings, this one and the next one, and I thank you for early when I came to the mic and you insinuated that they may or may not take it under consideration. Great answer. Great answer. But it seems as if we're in the motions and things are decided as I've gone to all of your public meetings, including the ones that some of y'all came to when we held them. It appears that things just gonna roll on without the continued input of this meeting and the following two meetings, which leaves me in the same place I've been, and I've been trying to get out of this place of where I am, and my recommendations to preachers and churches. But I'm still in this same place because it's like it's being pushed. Something's being pushed down.
Most of our votes are unanimous, though. If somebody's pushing it, why are they unanimous? I mean, seriously, we have all received the same information. We come from independent backgrounds.
Again, absent of the city manager, we good. We good on the city manager.
Yeah.
We absolutely good.
Okay.
We absolutely good on
We have to end it because it's 8 o'clock.
I would just suggest.
Oh, well, hang on.
Let me finish.
Out of respect, you're at the wrong forum to make any changes in what, let them do their work. I have problems with the commission. They told us that. They wrote the language, they put in there how the bill is going to be presented to the General Assembly. We can't let them back. So my fight is not with this group here. I don't care what they do. It's with the commission.
Okay.
Until we get that commission to make a change on the charter review, ain't nothing going to be done. We're wasting our time. Let them do their work or do whatever they need to present. We need to deal with the commission. You know, I work with y'all on the committee, but I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste my time. I was up 4 o'clock this morning going to the General Assembly talking to folks about why do we do these things that I call in protocol like we used to. It's with the commission. They wrote the resolution, said how they're going to be presented. Let them do what they need to do. You got 11 citizens that went out there and studied all of this, and then they fought. They didn't create their job and start doing this on their own. It was created, we know who created it, with a bad resolution. So we need to change our fight tonight.
Fellows, we're up against a hard close date, and I know Mr. Hassan would like to speak, and I think Reverend Booker would too, but I think we need to...
I'm going to close mine right now by saying I'm going to follow the suggestion of former Representative Brown to take my seat.
Thank you, sir. If you have one take-home message tonight is the beginning of your study of these issues. And it falls upon the citizens of this community to cast their votes, however their votes decide to fall. Thank you all for coming out tonight. We appreciate it.